Hi everyone and Happy New Year. So the other day I promised that I would do a short video talking about New Year resolutions and the approach that I take towards them. And so this is me keeping that promise. So for a long time I used to take the typical approach of doing New Year resolutions, which is basically taking a notebook and writing down a list of goals of things that I wanted to see changing in my life, new habits, money issues, and so on and so forth. But I wasn't really achieving much because I basically was setting too many goals. They were too generic, they were too vague, and basically I just ended up transferring the same list of goals to a new notebook in the new year, and so on and so forth. But this changed about 4 years ago when I read an article by Dory Clark in the Harvard Business Review, where she was talking about how to make a professional development plan for a year, right? For a new year. And she basically said that, professional development has three elements. The first one is learning, the second one is connecting, and the third one is creating. And I found this, approach quite helpful in terms of defining both my professional and personal goals for a year. And I decided to start using this approach and see how it would go. And over the years, I've realized that it's become much, much easier for me to set goals, to track progress, and then to be able to assess at the end of the year how much I have achieved or not. So in this video, I want to basically talk about those three elements. But before going there, I want to highlight or to restate a point that was made to me by a friend of mine, which is basically that many people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in 5 to 10 years. Right? Some key insight here is that you want to make sure that the goals you're setting for the year are achievable, so that you're not being overambitious, you don't set too many goals, so that you don't set yourself up for failure. And on the other hand, is also about recognizing that your goals for the year should not always necessarily be sort of self-contained. Rather, you may want to start thinking about them as building blocks towards medium-term and long-term goals, right? So I'm going to talk now about the three elements quite briefly, just highlighting the key questions that you want to ask yourself. So on learning, the key question here you want to ask yourself is whether you've got the requisite kind of skill set and knowledge level that you require in order to make the next step, whether it's in your career or it is in your professional life. So for instance, if it's about in your professional life, what does it take to go to the next level, and what is the gap that you've got? What are the targets then that you set in terms of career development, right? Professional development. On the personal front, same thing. If it's about learning a new skill or hobby such as yoga or swimming, where are you at right now, and what is the level of skill you want to be at the end of the year, and then set that goal. Now, of course, we know that it takes a long time to acquire any skill or even to perfect any skill, and therefore it should be obvious that on this you're not going to be setting many goals. You're going to have 2 and at most 3 skills that you want to sort of invest your time in. If you have too many, then of course you're setting yourself up for failure. On the second element, which is connecting, basically the point here is that your success, and this is both again in the professional as well as in your personal life, your success is going to depend very much on the quality of relationships that you've got with other people. And this relationship building requires both, sort of give and take. But most importantly here is about making sure that you're expanding your networks, you're deepening your connections with people, and fundamentally making sure that you're in the right places, right? So I think the key question to ask here is whether you are within the right kind of forums and networks, whether it is, social media groups, WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, whether you're, a member of the relevant association, trade associations for your industry or for your sector or for your area of interest, and even if it's for hobbies as well, do you belong to the kind of groups and networks where the kind of things that are relevant to you and to your growth and development are being discussed? If not, then this is where you set the target of where you want to belong to, and then you set out where, how many meetings you're going to attend, or like if identifying the conferences or seminars that you want to go to, because that helps you to meet people and also to deepen connections. Now, on the final one, which is about creating, even though sort of in the article Dori was talking more about building a personal brand, for me, I see this more as the set of the chance for you in your own goals to start looking more outward, and just not to be very self-centered, but rather to consider whether you're contributing to making the world a fairer and a more just place, right? So what is your contribution, right? And this means, on the professional level, like you could, for instance, write a guide that is going to help other people find it much easier to deal with challenges that you struggled with. Maybe you create a networking forum, be it a WhatsApp group, a Telegram channel, possibly, Corona allowing hosting networking evenings so that people can meet, and you create opportunities for people to meet and broaden their networks. Or maybe there is no relevant association for addressing the kind of things that are of interest to you. Perhaps maybe you want to create something or to start the process of creating something. So in other words, you're contributing to both your sector or your industry, your society, your country. Basically, what is it that you're doing that is beyond you as a person? And even on the personal level, it's about generosity with the resources you've got, right? Maybe you've got a skill that is relevant and useful to many people. Are you sharing that? Maybe you've got some financial resources. Are you helping those who are less privileged, or people who are in distress, especially during such times, which are difficult for very many people? And I think if you look again at that element, you won't do too many things, right? You will want to be very deliberate about the actions you're taking, and therefore actually making tough choices at the beginning of the year about the kind of contribution that you want to make, because any meaningful contribution, again, is going to take a lot of investment of time and resources, right? And so in summary, therefore, what I'm saying here is your goals should probably be divided into those three categories. What do you want to learn? What kind of connections do you want to create or deepen? And what kind of contribution do you want to make to the broader society, right? And as a result, you can see, because all these goals are going to require a lot of investment of time and effort, you can't have too many of them, right? So you'll end up in each category identifying 2 or 3 key aspects that you want to work on. This will make it much easier for you to track your progress along the year, and at the end of the year to be able to measure and find out whether you've actually succeeded in achieving what you set out to do. I will personally be going through this same process over the coming days. I don't subscribe to the rush of making sure that I've got my goals set by the first of the year, because I think it's a process that requires to take a bit of time and needs to be a lot more deliberate. But in some cases, it seems I may have already started out on those goals, including perhaps sharing some of the knowledge and skills that I've got a bit more widely and more broadly and this might just be the start. I wish you a happy and prosperous 2021.